Hello and welcome back to the 7 Steps to 7 Figures Summit. Embody your uniqueness to make and impact millions. Hi, Kim.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Oh, I am doing excellent today, and I'm so excited to share what you have to share with the world. So let's start with just telling us about who you are, a little bit of your story, and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a spiritual leader and transformation expert. And you're probably wondering how that combination came to be, because I legit combine spirituality with business savvy. And it's a multi-million dollar process,
Love it.
that's what you gain. So it's crazy, right? So you don't just one day say, "Oh, you know what? I'm just going to combine spirituality with business strategy because they make so much sense to just weave together and it's so easy for the marketplace to understand and everybody's just so ready for it," right? No, that doesn't happen. This
We
was
wish.
decades, right? Like we all wish, right? And I'm hoping, right? Because that's my goal with people, right? But
Mm.
but the process was about 20 years in the making. So
Wow.
right? So I was doing business strategy. I had a very successful corporate career and it was just catapulting into the stratosphere. Got pregnant with my son, my firstborn, and I was not anticipating anything changing, right? It
Mm.
was just, here we go. I got all the support in place and away we go. That's going to be great. And then he was born with significant issues. And
Mm.
so over time, when the doctor said he's not going to walk up the stairs naturally, he's not going to be able to throw and catch a
Wow.
ball, he's not going to have a normal social life. I said, absolutely not. That is not where we're going.
Mm.
That's not the trajectory. So I dove deeply into healing
Mm.
and I realized that it was the blending of Eastern practices with Western modalities that brought the best results. And at the same time, I realized my intuitive gifts. And I
Mm.
had forgotten all about them. I had them, of course, but I was so busy getting the next promotion and checking off all the boxes that I just kind of
Mm.
waylaid those to the side. And once I realized the power of my intuitive gifts plus this East meets West, I brought
Mm.
it into business. But
Oh,
the best
I love it.
news, my son, sophomore in college, excellent athlete, great sense of humor, and he has too many friends to count. So
That's amazing.
amazing. It's just amazing. And when people
Amazing.
hear it, they just kind of, do this like, what? Tell me more. Yeah.
Huh. Ah, I love that. And what an inspiration I'm sure you are to other parents who might be struggling with the same things with their kids.
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of a side thing. I don't charge for it, but that's kind of a side thing I have going
Mm.
on where parents just reach out to me and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with them because you don't have to accept the status quo of strategies and skills. You can actually rewire brains and you can bring in beautiful healing and you can,
Mm.
yeah, you can change the trajectory of that. Can't say
What
the
a
word,
gift
but
to your son.
yeah, he's
Really,
awesome.
truly.
He's
Oh,
awesome.
I love it. I just have chills listening to you. That's so beautiful. So
Thank you.
that's part of your story and what brought you to today, where you've
Yes.
now had this beautiful marriage of practical business along with the spiritual. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course it's deepened, and broadened. And so now I have a revolutionary process which leads us into the three secrets if you want to dive
Love
right in.
it. Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So people in business know the know like trust factor, the KLT.
Mhm.
Your customers need to know you, they need to like you, they need to trust you. And that is 100% true. That is absolutely true. However, what I've taken the KLT and I've literally turned it inward and I've revolutionized the approach to say you need to know yourself, like yourself, and trust yourself to become a magnet for
Mm.
the marketplace. And that's
Oh my
exactly
gosh,
what
I
I'm doing.
love that.
Yeah,
It's so
it's crazy.
true.
It is, right? And when you think about it, you think, well, wait a minute, of course it's true. And then again, you try to weave this together and you say, well, what about that practical business piece with the marketing and the leadership and the communication with
Mhm.
the intuitive woo? And I'll just say it's the woo, right? You're not going to go off to an ashram in India. We're all not eat, pray, love. We can't just take vast swaths of time off. So I'm all about tips to fit in your back pocket, things to do with the shower in the morning, things to do when you're walking into a meeting, like just quick hits because, like you and like most entrepreneurs that I've been working with, there's a family life involved as well as building a business or even in
Mm.
corporate, you want to get to that next level. You want a bigger team. There's stress. There's too much stress. There's just too much
Oh,
stress.
amen to that.
Yeah.
I actually, my ninth grade teacher used to call me a walking stress ball at ninth
Oh,
grade.
yeah. Oh I hate that, right?
And it was so true for, a decade after that until my recent journey with the woo.
Exactly.
Really.
Right? Exactly. I mean, because that's one thing it does is it really settles the mind. I
Mm,
mean, we'll go into the secrets, no worries, but really the foundation of all of this is to really settle in and be
mm.
calm and connected. And then of course there's all the magic, right?
I
So
love that.
yeah,
I love it. And I love that, you definitely know your stuff when it comes to skill set. But if you don't know, like, and trust yourself, that skill set's not gonna matter. Like
exactly.
it's just gonna fall flat.
Right, and we've seen it right this year because there's been massive pressure, right, quite frankly, right? Even even
Yeah.
even if you're not in the entrepreneurial world, even if you're not building a business or starting a business or trying to launch or whatever you're trying to do on the business side, from an entrepreneurial perspective, even in business, if you're in brick and mortar business, game changer, right? If you're even
Absolutely.
if you've seamlessly gone remote, I talk to a lot of business leaders that are struggling to communicate with their teams. It's changed. You don't
Mhm.
have those informal moments where you can just, we don't realize it, but we are reading the room when we walk into a meeting. We are connecting with people, dare I bring the word in energy, but energetically when we're sitting beside them or when
Yeah.
we're in the elevator with them. We don't have any of those data
Or
inputs.
the coffee pot or water cooler
Absolutely. Yeah,
conversations.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So the connection is less, right? So it's more
Mhm.
distant, which
Mhm.
makes it so impactful to then have more connection with you. Because
Yeah.
when you have more connection with you, you now have the ability to traverse like the remote, on a Zoom call or in Google Meets or on the phone even, right?
Hmm.
Because you're not seeing anybody at that point. You're just listening.
No, I realized that the other day. I actually had an old-fashioned conversation on the phone, and I realized how much I only talk to people on Zoom now. And it
Absolutely.
was so weird. I was like, I can't see you. Like, this is really weird to me because
I
it does
know.
make a difference, even, digitally being able to see people.
Exactly. And think of that example of not being able to see someone on the telephone, that you can equate that to not being in the same room with someone. It's
Hmm.
literally the loss of a sense that you
Hmm.
didn't even probably realize you were tapping into and
Yeah.
relying on. You didn't even realize it. And now you don't have it. And it's
Yeah.
chronic, right? Because this is we're month 10, 9, 10, and
10.
it's going to
Yeah.
be, best case scenario, it's going to be another 6 months. And then each corporation has to determine what their path to, access and offices are. And any brick and mortar shop has to determine how they're going to come back into play. So we've got another 9, 10 months. So
And then you've got masks, which I
and
feel
then we have
like,
masks.
also covering our smile. You can still see people's eyes, which I think is significant. But although I don't know if it's like this where you are, but I've noticed here people are looking down a lot. They don't want to look
Yeah.
at you. They're just, they'll turn to the side. Plus, they have the mask, so you can't see smiles, you can't see eyes. Like, this is a significant issue moving forward.
Absolutely. And those nonverbal cues, we just took advantage of them. Like we just took them for granted. And of course we did because we didn't even have to think about it.
Hmm.
But now all of a sudden we're missing that. And so now what do we replace it with? And that's why I'm saying go inward. And
Go inward.
it's not going to be all sit on a mountaintop and little hum diddy dum. We're not going to do that. My tips are wildly practical
Ah,
because
I love
that's
it.
really the name of the game, right?
I love it. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. So let's dive into number one.
Let's dive into number one. Okay. So when you know yourself deeply, right, you can really step into your brilliance and you can offer your success. You can bring it to the marketplace or to business if you're in a leadership role or otherwise, right? If you're looking to position yourself as a worker on our team, right? So this
Mhm.
applies everywhere. It applies at home too, but I'll keep the business lens. So the first thing you want to do is keep an open mind. That's the key, right? So a lot of people talk about mindset, and I know the law of attraction has gained, I'm thrilled that it's in the mainstream now, which is just stunning for me, right? However, there's more to it. There's that training the brain, of course, but really welcoming the unknown. Like
Mm.
if you just say, I don't know, like I don't know how I'm going to make 6 figures next month. I don't know how it's going to come in and whether this lead, nurturance I'm doing or this launch is going to bring it in or it's going to come some other way. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to it.
Oh,
Because when the
I love that.
mind starts, yeah, I do that, like, right? Because you know that.
Guilty.
And the mind is, here's the thing, the mind is a beautiful protector. Like, we don't want to diss the
Mm-hmm.
mind. The mind is awesome. But the mind can only handle with what it's familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It can only handle things that will protect you. So when you're skidding off into the brand new land of whatever you're doing, right? The mind immediately is like, heck no, we are
Oh
not
yeah.
going there. So this is why affirmations work and things like that. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about literally waking up every day and just say, I don't know what's going to happen today. I welcome all of it.
Nice.
And you will be shocked at what comes in.
It
Because
feels so peaceful.
right, it's so peaceful and it's just so available to everybody. Literally, that takes 4 seconds. Right. And I have a story about Oprah, if I can share. So Oprah, we all know Oprah. We know how insanely successful she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she tells this beautiful story. Like, if you have a chance to go see her speak, like 100% when things go back to, speaking, you
Normal.
go, right? But go see her because she's amazing. And one of the stories that she tells is she talks about when she was working in Chicago, her first job, and she came from nothing, right? And so she
Mm-hmm.
her boss had a normal home on a normal street in the neighborhood, and there were 6 trees in the front and backyard. And so Oprah looked at that and she's like, I want 6 trees. She's like, oh my God. Like, that to her was manna from heaven. But she opened it and she just said, universe, I would love trees. I don't know what the exact statement she did, but she was just saying, I would love trees. She tells this story and she says she had to hire, in her current home, she had to hire a tree counter because apparently there's someone who does that.
Counts trees.
Right. So she was looking at the vast array of trees and she has 3,667 trees in her backyard.
Wow.
So the mind may have given her 6 trees, but spirit gave her almost 3,700 trees.
Wow.
And I
I love
love
it.
using that example. Open your mind. You have no
Open
idea
your
what's going to
mind.
be.
Let it be blown.
Let it be blown. And the other part of that is strategy, right? So really practical strategy, having purposeful strategy. We're coming up to a time that we're looking at goals, we're looking at, the next, and you
Mm-hmm.
can do this anytime, right? The next phase, whatever that is, and you knowing yourself, your passions, your strengths, your weaknesses, just let's be real, be wildly self-aware. You knowing how you like to work, what you want your schedule to be like, how you like to work with clients. And really, it's all about you. Just be selfish about it. How you like to
Yes.
lead, what kind of support you want. Like, to be wildly, insanely selfish about it, and you will be much more successful. And I'm
Oh,
not saying that to like diss everybody else. I'm saying that so you know whether you're a leader in an organization or an entrepreneur or part of a team, this is really important. Super
mm-hmm.
important. That's, if you do that, amazing.
Oh, that's so good. And it's not often what you hear.
No.
Everybody's teaching this strategy or that strategy, or you need to do this, 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 and this, and then X, Y, Z. But just to like really focus inward and say, what do I want? Like, what is my perfect day in
Yes.
my life and my business look like? And then I just had a conversation yesterday with someone about that.
Yeah, 100%, right? And it's from a uniqueness perspective, we're all unique. Literally, there's one every 25,000 years, Dawn, somebody replicates in a similar signature. Okay, so we can really be certain that we are unique.
Which is the theme of this, using our uniqueness
I know, which I
to make an
love,
impact
right?
millions.
That's what I
Yeah.
was like, I must do the summit with Dawn, right? So we are so aligned, this will be perfect.
Love
But
it.
but to go deeper, like a little bonus tip around that is knowing yourself in times of calm is really easy. Knowing where you go to in times of stress, that's key.
Hmm.
Because think about it, when you're trying to pivot or you're trying to grow or you're welcoming something new, there's a stressor out there that you're not even aware of. So if you know that you typically, maybe you don't delegate well, or maybe you will overbook yourself, or maybe you will drop into, frenzy or distraction, knowing that and strategizing around it is key.
Mm.
Because
Yes.
it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. We're never going to be free of those things. No.
Absolutely. So why don't we just plan for them? Right? I
So
mean, it makes so
simple.
much sense.
Yes, know yourself and then plan for it. That's perfect. Because
Yeah,
we all have the self-sabotage distraction or busyness or, that loop that we get into when we hit those challenges.
absolutely. And so knowing that I tend to overschedule. So
Mm.
now I have an admin who doesn't let me do that. And that was the first thing that I said to her, do not let me overschedule.
That's
So she's
awesome.
my gatekeeper. She's like, and so literally I'll say, can we just add? No, she says to me, no, you can't. Or I just
I
got a
love
Vox
that.
from this morning. I just removed a meeting that you had today.
Thank you for
Yep, we'll
protecting
see
me.
tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Because I know what I'll do.
I love that. And I love what you did is had someone else. You're not saying, oh, you have to be perfect. You have to be the one always to make the right decision for you,
Right.
but you got support, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
we need support. I would say we need that. We need team. We need somebody else to have our back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
That's
you
awesome.
really,
You found a good one.
oh my God, I totally found a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, because that's going to get to the third secret, but I'll just go to the second secret. When you like yourself fully, here's the deal. There's no competition. There's no FOMO. There are no triggers. There's no jealousy. I mean, honestly, like for real, you're on your path and you're happy to be on your path and you're satisfied to be on your path. And you look over there and you say, oh, you know what? That funnel is really interesting and that works so well for Jane or for, Fred. Great. I love that for him or her. Here's what I'm going to do. And you're not slipping and sliding because notice like there's a lot of my clients who come to me and they're launching too much or they're there's a proving to themselves or there's a oh no this great big thing just came out, it worked for this person, so my thing isn't working so well, so I'm going to do that.
Shiny object. Hmm.
Shiny object,
It's
right? Total
rampant.
shiny. And it's because we're afraid of being left behind. That's
Mm.
really what it is. So when we recognize that, no, and it sounds weird liking yourself, because but that's a
It sounds too
heart-centered thing.
easy.
Well, it sounds weird, right? Like liking yourself, and I'm going to be able to leave a legacy. I'm going to be able to own my power. I'm going to be able to leave my mark. Like that sounds bizarre. And yet it's so true. Because
Mhm.
think about this, when you know your heart, you know what, like, and I'll go into human design, just a little peek, like that's a
Love
little
it.
magical tool. Like if satisfaction, peace,
Mm.
delight, fulfillment, awareness are the keys.
Mm.
Only for a slice of the population is success a key.
Mm.
And it's in a different way. It's only 20%, and it's when they're invited in. So there's a
Mm.
there's a whole different energy than what we're thinking with our minds. If Dawn can do it, I should be able to do it. If Emma can do it, I should be able to do it. If it worked for Hillary, it should work for me. I mean, and
Mhm.
it's not really true because that person has an entirely different makeup than you do. They have entirely different experience than you do. They have different connections than you have. They have different skills than you have. That's what it goes back, we weave these together. It goes back to knowing yourself. But when you like yourself, you honor yourself. You
Mm.
accept yourself. You say, you know what? I want to be acknowledged for me. I want to be appreciated for me, and I want to be valued for me. So the way I
Mhm.
show up to be seen, heard, and known is different. And that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's
so
crazy.
beautiful because we put so much emphasis on, as business owners, entrepreneurs, you're looking at other entrepreneurs, right? You're looking at
Yeah,
their systems and strategies and their success and saying, "Oh, I want that."
right.
But like you said, it's such a small percentage. The success is not the fulfillment. We think like, "Oh, when I'm successful, I'll feel happy." And it's not.
Exactly. And so there's a little bit, another bonus little tip here is that you are able to let go of control and step
Mm.
into influence. And that's great for leadership. That's great for entrepreneurship. That's great for thought leader, impact, or wherever you want to be. It's perfect because there's an allowance there, of course, but there's also that, you know what? I'm not holding on to the reins here for everything. Because think of that tightening that happens. It's stressful.
Right.
It's contractile. You're contracting instead of growing, and you're probably triggering other people, which then
Mhm.
therefore you're going to be triggered back, right? So then it
Right.
just sets up
You
just
cause
a kind of
drama.
horrible relationship, versus being
Mhm.
in that full collaboration. Kim, do you want to be on the summit? Absolutely, you'll be a blast. Period. End. Right? Like,
Easy.
easy. So
Yeah.
easy, right?
That control, it takes so much energy too,
Yes.
and it still doesn't work out.
And it still
So
doesn't.
it's like, yeah, opening up those hands.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a client who was doing this, and she happened to be a manifester, and peace is the key for manifestors. And so when she came into my world and we started doing all the things, the magic and the practical, we like aligned her family work balance. We dove into why she needed to prove herself. We looked at her constant launch sequence. We looked at her team. Like everything was out of alignment. And so
Wow.
we just literally just created this just different container for her to work, different offering stream, different launch sequence. We recalibrated her team. We had her ask for support at home. I mean, we did all these things, and now she was in the mid six figures. She's increased revenue 40% and decreased effort by 30%.
Wow. It's like
Crazy.
everybody's dream.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's great. Like it's crazy.
Just by being in alignment
Yep,
based
absolutely.
on human design.
Her well, that and like of course knowing herself, but liking
Hmm.
herself. That was her key. She needed to
Hmm.
like herself and accept herself and appreciate herself.
Hmm.
So I would say to her, just because you can create everything doesn't mean you should.
You should. The generator, right?
Right. Well, yeah, right.
Uh,
But manifestor has that too, like the massive creative force, right?
mhm.
Yeah, the generator has that building, constructing force. Yeah, I know. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I mean, you should. Ah,
Yeah.
yes, that's so good.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about number 3?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Let's go
So
for
this
it.
is where trusting yourself completely. And I'll be honest with you, this is the main one. I mean, this is the one that's hardest to do. This is the one that, we peel away layers to get to. But once you do, you can actually really look at the opportunity that you create in your life and the support you allow.
Hmm.
And I said that in that way for a reason. So
Mhm.
what opportunities do I create? When do I say yes? How do I say yes? Do I say yes enthusiastically and openly, or do I say yes conditionally? And this is where discernment comes in, right? This is where you say, well, you're not just going to say yes to everything, right? Because there's not enough time or resource in the world for that. But
Absolutely.
knowing, right? This is again, they all weave together. Knowing and liking yourself leads to this, where you have that discernment already, and you can say yes. And if you need to have conditions, they would be based on those relative weaknesses that you have that we talked about in that first key. And so for me, I can say yes, but I did not schedule. Notice I did not schedule with you. I had
Mhm.
my admin schedule with you because I knew I would have been like, oh my God, we can do it today. It'll be awesome. Let me just go put up some lipstick. It'll be great. I love
Let
talking
me
to you.
have 8 other meetings.
We had beautiful conversation. Why don't we just keep going? Right?
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have shown up as my best self. You may not have had your mic all prepared, like it probably wouldn't have been the best thing to do. But this is where I'm saying, but I said yes, because
Mhm.
it just made so much sense, right? It was completely aligned and it's
Yeah.
beautiful. And who
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen? Like I might have a summit, or I might have a group that you come into, or we might do something online together. We have no idea.
Mhm.
And that's what's exciting.
Oh, it is the little seeds that
I
get
know, little
planted and watered along the way.
exactly. And then there's the support side of that. And this is where I see so often people often underhire. They don't delegate enough. They don't look at what their needs are. They're not trusting themselves, right? Because think about
Mhm.
that. When you trust yourselves, I always say you want to overhire. Like you want your right hand person and your left hand person to be ninjas at what they do.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust yourself, you might be looking like, oh no, what if they come into my space, or what if they take too much, or if what if I can't
Mhm.
control it, or whatever. When you're asking those questions, you're not developing a healthy relationship, and those people can't support you in the way that you really need them to
Mm.
support you.
Yeah.
So that was a little bonus there.
I love that. Does the trust come in also in hiring the right fit person, like trusting yourself to trust them. Does that make sense?
100%.
Like
Yeah,
I feel like a
100%.
lot of people struggle with that, finding the right fit people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is where knowing yourself, I mean, me knowing I needed, the first and foremost thing I needed with an admin was that gatekeeper. That's
Mm.
100% what I needed. Then after that, it was nice to haves, right? So nice to have
Right.
that she's really good at technology, nice to have that she's, she has 20 years experience, all those things. But I was looking for someone, quite frankly, she has 20 years experience because I've been around the block a lot. I didn't want someone who didn't have that experience base.
Mm-hmm.
So weirdly, I'll take more of a quote unquote risk if with marketing, because I happen to be, I'm really good at sales. So, I didn't have a website this whole year. My website's now just up. It's been a year.
Love it.
And I went from mid 5 figures to mid 6 figures during a pandemic. I mean, it's just, it's fine, So I didn't necessarily need to overhire on the marketing side, but I definitely needed to overhire on the admin side, and I needed to overhire on the PR side, because visibility for me is one of my relative weaknesses. I will, believe it or not, sometimes I'll be like, no, kind of do the dodge and weave a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, right?
You
Well,
seem
I think
so
it's
just
the spirituality piece. You know how long it took me to say like spiritual leader? I had to practice a lot to say that.
I love that. To own
So,
that title.
yeah, well, I had so many of my former clients say, Kim, keep the woo at home. Of course I brought it in and they benefited it from it amazingly, but they didn't know. I think I got conditioned for that. And so it had a tendency to kind of have that be at the back burner, where once I shifted it to the front, everybody wants the magic and the woo. So yay.
So it worked for you.
It worked,
Yeah.
right? But I also want to
feel the
say,
same way.
oh, sorry. So I also want to say, so I'm like getting so excited. I'm talking over you. I apologize.
It's all good.
I want to talk about the fact that trusting yourself is directly related to your financial freedom. It's related to your money. There's like a direct link, because think about this. When you trust yourself, you can widen that receiving channel. And when you do that, you're giving in equal measure. You're just giving, but you're not, see, here's the thing. You're not people pleasing. You're not proving yourself, and you're not over giving. You're just being beautifully, graciously generous.
Oh, love it.
And when
Beautifully,
you do,
graciously generous.
and you do without expectation. And then when you do, it may come back, or it may be paid forward, or like you don't even know what seed you're planting in the world. I was with someone last week who came into my group so graciously, gave an hour and a half of her time. Actually, we extended it to 2 hours, and gave us a portion of her program, which is a $20,000 program. And she said, I never do this. But then she told a story that last summer, apparently I gifted her with a reading. She was going through some personal things. I just started channeling. I just recorded it for her. I just gave it to her. And apparently it turned what could have been a nightmare situation into one that was really graceful and completely worked out. I remember doing it, but I don't really remember doing it,
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
And
so,
you were just being beautifully generous.
Yeah, I was just said, she's going through stress and trauma right now. I can help. I'll ask her permission. She said yes. And I just did it, and then just gifted it. And then just said, okay, here I go. And then, a few months later, I asked her to be in my group, and she said yes. And I had no idea that it was going to be so magnanimous. I had no idea.
Oh, that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
That's magical.
It's magical. Exactly. It's magical. Yeah. And so I was equating it, because in my society group, we're talking about money right now. And so I said to them, this is about a $3,000 gift for all 20 of you. So we just manifested $60,000 worth of like unbelievable advice that we now have access to, because it's Wednesday.
Because it's Wednesday. Just because.
Right? Just because.
Oh my goodness, I love it. As you were talking, this question popped up that maybe some of our listeners have. How is it that you can either monitor how much you trust yourself, or what steps can you take to trust yourself more? Like if people are wondering what that looks like, especially as it relates to money.
I know, right? So this is where what we talked about earlier, being calm, really allowing yourself to be calm. Now, not faking it, because that's something you really can't fake. That's go take a walk, go, go lose the distractions of your phone for a few moments, go pet a puppy, like, literally do something, take a deep breath, right? Drink some water and or coffee and sit on your back deck in nice weather. I mean, really give yourself pockets of calm throughout the day and week.
Mm-hmm.
Totally helpful, because that you get out of your mind and you get into your heart. Here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing, Dawn, your heart knows. Your heart just knows. So the more you can listen to it and open up to it, the more you're going to be able to trust yourself. Because what's going to start to happen is you're going to want validation. Like, I love my clients who are like, prove it. I'm like, okay. So we go through these exercises where I give them things that they need to, test, if you will, right? Like, just go
Mm-hmm.
test this. And then they're small. They're just tiny little things, like, you're testing your intuition. You're testing that access to your knowing and your guiding force through your heart, right? So go see, do you need an umbrella today if the weather's going to be bad or not? These are all outdoor things now that I'm thinking about it, right? Or like, do you know what that person's going to say before they say it? Or have you
Mm-hmm.
handled a situation beautifully when it could have gone awry? So you really just start testing yourself, and you start being aware of it. That's part of it. The other part of
Mm-hmm.
it is recognizing and celebrating your accomplishments. We don't do that. We don't.
We don't, not nearly enough.
How many people, Dawn, have you met that all of a sudden you may have known them like in a group or online or something, and then you found out something ridiculously fabulous about them? Like, they wrote a book, or they have their PhD, or they
Mm-hmm.
saved, this community from something, or they volunteer, and it's insane.
Yeah,
The person just sits there and goes, sure.
it's so true. I mean,
So
I'm guilty of that. I just told a story last week of when I saved a person's life. I got in trouble for it from my work, but I still saved her life. And you're totally right. Like, we don't talk about it. It's just like, oh yeah, that happened.
so what I tell people to do is make a list of all the cool things that you have done.
Mm,
Just
yes.
things that you're proud of. Just things that, or things that someone else would be like, remark on. Someone else might be surprised about, or they might say, "Wait a minute, tell me more."
Hmm.
I want to hear this. Or I love it when they're like, "Wait, stop." What did you just say?
Yes.
Right.
So like a
Yeah.
cheat sheet of awesomeness.
A cheat sheet of awesomeness. Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of times we'll think of that business related, or we'll think of
Hmm.
that sales related or money related. I know we're tying this to money, but it's more than that. I always say to my people, and it blows everybody's mind, money's the easy part. It's
Yeah.
easy. It's the easy part. It's infinite. It's fun. It's energy. It loves to follow you. It loves you. We're the crazy ones that
I
push it
like
away from
push it
us.
away. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to breathe. No, no more air. Like,
Yeah,
no more
exactly.
money.
Exactly. Right. And,
Oh,
and poor
that's so
money is out
funny.
there going, wait, I want to play with you. And you're not even playing with me. You're ignoring me.
I want to play with you. That's like my 4-year-old.
Yeah, right. Money is
Mommy,
like a
come play
4-year-old.
with me.
I was just saying that in my group last week. I'm like, think of money like a 4-year-old. They want to be with you all the
So
time. They want to be so helpful. I said, so
mm.
money is as helpful as a 4-year-old. Like, you do guide it and direct it, but yeah, it's just that
Oh
playful.
my goodness, that's such a great analogy.
Yeah,
And playful. And so many people have so much stress around money.
I know. I know.
The
And
stats are crazy, like how many people living paycheck to paycheck and, in debt. And yeah, that's so, so tough. I love the playful spirit.
right. And weirdly, when you trust yourself, you feel safe enough, because when we
Mm.
feel unsafe, that's when we create lack, we create debt. It keeps us in a box that our
Mm.
mind loves, because it's protecting us. This is familiar. I understand this. Oh, you're not going to go take a risk or do something that we don't know about. The mind's always like, I don't know about that, so we can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Playing, having fun, testing yourself, trusting yourself. I love
Celebrate
it.
yourself.
Celebrating. We need to do that more.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing something in my free group later today, and I'm gonna be talking about, sure, we're setting intentions for the new year, sure, we're doing all these great big goals and whatever, but one of the main things is I want a list of accomplishments, and I make people share it in the group. and we comment on them.
Nice. Personal and business?
Personal and
Or are
business.
you keeping it just personal?
Both personal and business. Yep. It could be anywhere in your life.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to do that.
Good. Good.
I'm going to do that today. So good. I have loved this conversation. I know we're near the end of our time together. So I would love if you just would recap the 3 steps and then tell us where we can learn more, where we can follow you, and what amazing gift you have for our listeners today.
Awesome. Okay. 3 steps. Know yourself deeply to step into your brilliance and your success. Like yourself fully to claim your power and leave your mark. And trust yourself completely for money and ease. And I can add joy.
And joy. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So to learn more, I have a website now, Dawn. Wait, what is happening?
Celebrate! One of
Okay.
your accomplishments.
I know. Yay. So it's kimwoods.com. And when you go there, you're going to see, at the top bar, you're going to see True KLT movement. True KLT, like Trust Factor. There we go. You can read all about it there. There's also a link to my free group on Facebook, which I'm in there live every week at least. And there's gifts galore. It's ridiculous. Generosity, it's my thing. And it's, power. We just changed the name. It's Power Up Your Prosperity with True KLT. Nice. And so, yeah, and there's some magic and there's some business savvy and there's practical tips and woo advice. And from a free thing, this is ridiculous. What I'm doing is a 5-day KLT challenge. It's going to be in a few weeks and it's at kimwoods.com and it's literally 5-day true KLT challenge, right? But you can register there and I'm going to go in for an hour every single morning starting in mid-January, or you can watch the replay, of course, if you're running into the summit after that. And I'm spending an hour on each one of these markers, right? Like each one of these secrets and delving into them and, stepping into it with some ritual and some magic and then practical advice. And here's the crazy part. I'm giving away, and it's actually more than this. I realized it's over $20,000 worth of prizes. Just because.
That's wild. Just for being in the challenge.
Yeah. Just for being in the challenge.
I love it.
Yeah.
Get yourself signed up.
Yeah, exactly. Get yourself signed up. And I legit do it, right? So I just did a meditation challenge with people around Mercury retrograde in October. I called it 5x5 and I gave over $2,000 worth of prizes and I didn't sell anything. I just did it because I wanted people to get it connected because it's so important to do that. I gave away stones and books and I gave away readings and yeah. It was, and everybody was, people were expecting. I said, no, guys, I'm bribing you to meditate.
It's just a gift.
This is actually happening.
Because it makes the world a better place. If we're all peaceful and we're all calm and meditating, that's a transformed world.
Exactly. And I'm the transformation person, right? So many people came back and they said, it is life-changing. Life-changing. 5 minutes a day, life-changing.
5 minutes a day. Everybody can do that.
Absolutely.
Everybody can do that. I love it. Thank you so much for being here today. This was incredible.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.